Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of The Conversation. And today I got a really dope, topic for you guys. So the topic is the scary reason why nobody really wants to see these Clippers in the playoffs. But before I get into the topic, I want you guys to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed to the channel. We're trying to get to 5,000 subs as soon as possible. So please make sure you go ahead and do that. Hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. So let's get straight into the topic. Now, we all know the playoffs are underway. I'm super excited. We're in July. It looks like everything is a go. It looks like most teams are going to have all of their players available to them, with probably the exception of the Brooklyn Nets. But in all cases, it seems like we're going to get these playoffs, and they're going to be a lot of fun because I know us as basketball fans have really missed the playoffs. You know, we haven't gotten a chance to see basketball in a long time, and in a conventional season, we would have already crowned an NBA champion. But in this particular year, given this global pandemic, things are a little bit different. But needless to say, we're back to basketball. And it has me looking ahead to my favorite team and the team that I'm picking to win the NBA championship, which is the LA Clippers. Now, let me just say this. I think that the Clippers are the most dangerous team in the playoffs, and it's a team that nobody wants to face. And I'm going to break down every single reason for you guys, just so you guys can understand where I'm coming from. So first of all, we got to look at their roster and we got to look at their depth chart. They're really, really, really deep team. If you look at their players like Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, Landry Shamet, Marcus Morris, Reggie Jackson, Zubac, Patrick Beverley, JaMychal Green, Maurice Harkless, Patrick Patterson, and also with the new addition of Joakim Noah. So they have so many great players. But now, if we're going to make an argument as to why they're the most scariest team, then we got to break this down in stages. First of all, let's talk about their defenders. Okay, this is one of the reasons why the Clippers are so dangerous. If you look at their starting five, their three players that play on the wing are probably the best defensive players at their position. Patrick Beverley is the best point guard defender in the NBA. Then at the shooting guard, you have the second best two-way player in all of basketball, in my opinion, in Paul George, who's most likely going to be defending shooting guards, but can also switch onto small forwards, and in some cases, even guard power forwards, as we saw him play Anthony Davis in stretches when the Lakers played the Clippers on Christmas Day. You can just go back and look at the highlights. And of course, you have Kawhi Leonard, who is the best defender in all of basketball, but also the best small forward defender that can guard point guards, small forwards, shooting guards, and power forwards at times, depending on who he's going, depending on who the opposing team has playing at power forward position. Now, some people have said that Kawhi Leonard can't keep up with quick point guards. You guys are bugging. You need to go watch some of his highlights and see Kawhi Leonard play defense. For whatever, I don't know where you guys get that assumption from. Maybe you think he's slow or he's too big or whatever it is to play point guards. I don't know where you guys get that from, but you can go and watch him. Many times he's even played Stephen Curry and stripped Stephen Curry. Last time I checked, Stephen Curry was not a center. He's a point guard. So Kawhi Leonard is their best defender, but they have a very strong front line. Now, the next thing you have to look at is the ability for these defenders to switch. Every single one of these defenders I just mentioned can all switch. If you get them in a pick and roll, Paul George can switch on to the next player. The same thing with Kawhi Leonard, and the same thing with Patrick Beverley at times. Obviously, if you put him in a pick and roll with a center, he can't guard a center, but he has the heart to do it, and he's crafty enough as a defender to be able to get his hand in there and poke the ball away, as you saw what he did on Christmas Day against LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, the next thing we have to look at, and another reason why this team is so dangerous, is their versatility and their depth. The Clippers are a compilation of small forwards and power forwards. For example, if you look at Kawhi Leonard, he's a small forward. Paul George is a small forward, although he plays the shooting guard, but he's 6'8", so he's actually taller than Kawhi Leonard. I think they probably make him play the shooting guard probably because he's a little bit lighter, and he's, maybe that's just the way they decided to put it, and they think Kawhi Leonard is probably best served playing small forward. Then you have Marcus Morris, who's also a small forward. Then you have Montrezl Harrell, who's a power forward. Then you have JaMychal Green, who's a power forward. Then you have Patrick Patterson, who's a power forward. So the team is just a compilation of small forwards and power forwards. Now, you guys may be saying, well, what does it have to do with anything? Well, it gives them versatility to go against pretty much any team in the NBA, because if you notice, a lot of teams is not as big as they used to be. So this allows them to play pretty much any kind of style on the court. Now, another thing is, if we're looking at their depth, they have the most explosive bench in the NBA with Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell coming off the bench. These guys are just sensational scores. I mean, Lou Williams is scoring 18.7 points a game coming off the bench, and Montrezl Harrell is chipping in 18.6. So these guys are getting you close to 40 points of bench scoring between these two players. I don't know many other teams that have that type of depth coming off the bench if we're talking about an offensive punch, and the Clippers seem to have that. Now, if we take it a step further and we look at the team as far as three-point shooters, okay? For example, if you look at the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard shoots close to 40% from the three. He's shooting 37% from the three. Paul George is basically shooting 40% from the three. Marcus Morris can shoot basically 40% from the three. Landry Shamet is a great three-point shooter. Patrick Beverley is a great spot-up three-point shooter. And it's the same thing with Patrick Patterson, who's also a great spot-up three-point shooter. And I think the more I go on with this, you guys are beginning to understand why a lot of people, including myself, picked the Los Angeles Clippers to come out of the Western Conference, because they're so deep. Now, if we look at their team stats as a team, the team is top 5 in scoring in the NBA. They're scoring about 116.2 points a game, which is fantastic. But they're also one of the top rebounding teams, getting you 48 rebounds a game. And I think a lot of people may be surprised to hear that number, because the Clippers don't really have a lot of centers. They have Zubac, and now with the addition of Joakim Noah, who hasn't played a game with the Clippers. So you have to ask yourself, how are these guys able to rebound the ball so well? And it goes to one of my other reasons why this team is just going to be a nightmare to go against, is because they're so motivated. This team is the scariest team as well because of their mentality. For a team to be able, we all know rebounding is an effort stat. We all know this. It's just pure effort, and it's also a defensive stat. So for these guys to be able to go out there and rebound, they're basically like gang rebounding. Everybody's just rebounding is like next man up, and they rebound as a committee. That's the reason why they're one of the top teams in rebounding in the NBA. One would assume it would probably be like, the Los Angeles Lakers, because they have all of that size. But it turns out it's not the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Los Angeles Lakers have more size than the LA Clippers. But nevertheless, the Clippers are leading the way with rebounding. Now, another thing we got to look at is their leaders, okay, their team leaders. They have a reigning two-time finals champion and two-time finals MVP in Kawhi Leonard, who this season is averaging 27 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 5 assists. Now, some of you guys are like, okay, those are good numbers. That's nothing amazing. It's nothing spectacular. But then you got to look at what he turns into in the playoffs. Now, this is for the load management crowd who say that Kawhi Leonard load manages, he doesn't play games. First of all, last season in the NBA playoffs, he played every available game, number one. Number two, there are no back-to-backs in the NBA playoffs. So him not being able to be available is just an argument that I think haters like to make. But he was available in the playoffs all of last season, and he was injured at times. Now, last season, the dude averaged 30.5 points a game. He scored the third most points in NBA history in the playoffs. He shot 49% from the field, basically 50% from the field. And if you look at Kawhi Leonard's offense, it's all coming from the perimeter. And what's even more impressive than that about that is the fact that a lot of those teams he was playing against, the defense was keyed in on him because he's really the main offensive threat. Pascal Siakam wasn't averaging what he's averaging this season, and Kyle Lowry is known to be sometimes inconsistent and streaky in the playoffs. So Kawhi Leonard is their number one offensive player, and he was still able to shoot 50% from the field throughout the entire playoffs. Then in addition, he averaged 38% from the three. He shot 88.4% from the free throw line. He got you 9.1 rebounds and 1.7 steals. And essentially what that means is that all of his numbers go up because he's playing 39 minutes a game, so his level of intensity goes through the roof. Now, if we look at his running mate, yeah, Paul George is averaging 21 points a game, 5.7 rebounds, and 3.9 assists this season. Yeah, fine. And some people are a little bit worried about Paul George. There's no reason to be worried about Paul George because he's one of the best basketball players on the planet. But in the playoffs last season, he played 40 minutes a game, got you 28.6 points a game, shot 44% from the field, 32% from the three-point line, and 81% from the free throw line. Now, some of you guys may be saying, hey, his percentages are a little bit down, but if you go back and look at the video and the tape of him playing in the playoffs last season, you'll see that he was dealing with an injury and he had a bunch of stuff like, I don't know what, medical things on his shoulder. So the guy was injured and he was still playing those games. And that's the reason why you saw that his efficiency kind of dipped a little bit. But apart from that, you know, Paul George is a sensational scorer and a sensational two-way player. And last season, he was in the top 3 for MVP voting finalists and also in the top 3 for Defensive Player in the Year in the same season. So I have no trepidations about Paul George and his ability to be able to show up in the playoffs and really give it to dudes on a consistent level. But if we also look at the Clippers, you also have to look at their coaching and their management structure. They have a coach that is a championship coach. Now, whatever you guys may think, some people say, oh, Doc Rivers and this and this and this and this. He's one of the few coaches in NBA that have a championship, number one. Number two, he's a respected coach. Number three, you also have to look at their management with their owner, and you got to look at their consultant in Jerry West, who is by far the greatest team builder in the history of the league. These players are going to be able to lean on him. And for those of you who may not be aware of some of Jerry West's work, he played a big role in the Shaq and Kobe three-peat because he was the one that basically fought to get Kobe Bryant, undraft him, and get him on the Los Angeles Lakers. Then he was also a part of the Golden State Warriors championship run, who went to 5 NBA championships. So Jerry West's resume goes unquestioned and is one of the reasons why he has so much respect. And Steve Ballmer did pretty much whatever he had to do to make sure that he had him on his consultation team. And that's the reason why he's going to be with the Clippers, and he's going to be in the air. A lot of those players who may have questions that they need to ask him all throughout the playoff, just go look at some of the training camp videos and you will see that he was there in Hawaii with the players, speaking to Paul George and other players, allowing them to pick his brain. So I think the Clippers from top to bottom are loaded. They have the most depth. They have the best complement of players. They're all-star players, play perfectly off of each other. I've spoken about this in other videos as to why Paul George and Kawhi Leonard play so well off of each other. If you guys haven't seen that, we're going to link a video that we did not too long ago. Is that, can the NBA handle a healthy Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, which we're going to link in the description below, and we can show it to you guys somewhere here so you guys can see it. Well, I just basically, explain why I think these two guys work so well off of each other. So, in my opinion, this is the scariest team in the NBA playoffs, and I think no one really wants to see these Clippers in the playoffs, whether that other team is at full strength or not. So, what I want to know from you guys is, do you agree with me that the Clippers are the most dangerous team in the NBA, or do you think there's another team, maybe the Houston Rockets, the Lakers, or whoever it is? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro, wishing you guys an amazing day. Peace.